Welcome to my archery shop. So in today's video, we are going to talk about what should you buy to do things on your own at your house. This is my opinion of, years of research and, real world experience on what I can do at my house and what I can't do at my house. I don't live super far from an archery shop. So in this case, having a new kid and being more present at home rather than not having the time to run into town whenever I needed to, I went out and kind of did a budget DIY archery shop. This allows me to do pretty much the basics of everything and anything technical like a press where I would have to go into town and use. So we're just going to start over here and we'll kind of work our way left to right. So first I started out with just a fletching jig, and then I bought a couple tables, a tool chest just to get organized, and once I kind of started buying more things, stuff started to pile up and I wanted to be organized. But basically this box here is what I first started with, and just this jig itself. So I think first, like if you want to get into arrow building, the basics is just you need a jig of some sort. This is just a true classic Bitzenberger jig. I believe they're like $100. You can get them almost anywhere. But this is how I started off, just kind of getting into doing my own archery stuff per se on my own. So it was just this, and then I bought some vanes, some glue, a primer pen, and just learned how to build arrows, right? So I would say if you want to kind of, not have to pay a shop, or you just want to kind of tinker with different arrows, that's a good start, is just to get a fletching jig of some sort and just practice fletching. I practiced on a couple dummy arrows where I didn't care if I messed them up, and I was quickly able to learn how to actually fletch arrows. So a jig itself is good, and then I just bought this on Amazon. It just organizes all the vanes. When I was kind of nerding out and testing different vanes, and I separated them. Like these are the Max Hunters from AAE. The AE hybrids. I mean, I have tons of vanes in here. I kind of just went AE, Q2I, TAC. Just a wide assortment. I have a ton of them. So, and then I just put like inserts in here. Some of these are empty, but Q-tips for just cleaning off your arrows, glue and whatnot. Different wraps and whatnot. This drawer's got, I think, a sponge in here just for basically wiping off any wraps or glue that were on arrows. Here I got some hot melt, some string wax, just a wide variety of little things that have to do with building arrows, essentially. What I do is I use arrow glue. So, I mean, this is just for gluing on vanes and whatnot. They make all sorts of different, AE makes them, TAC, G5 makes blue glue. This is really good for vanes, but also inserts. The next thing I would recommend is getting just an arrow spinner. It's super cheap. That way you can test your arrows, spin them, make sure they're spinning correctly, there's no wobble in them. And these are like $30, so relatively pretty cheap. So I eventually got that, and then I made my way into I need to figure out how to weigh my arrows, right? So I bought a Last Chance Archery scale. Now, this was a little more expensive, still under $100, but basically you can kind of go on here and see how much your actual arrow weighs. You just set that on there, and it'll tell you what your arrow actually weighs. So that's good to just have consistency, and then after you build your arrow and figure out, okay, how much does it actually weigh? So I think that's kind of a must-have. And this is all, what you like to do, right? So I like to build my own arrows, and I like to work on my bow and not have to run into town because I don't have a vise to throw on a sight or something. Next this is a new addition. Last year we got this. This is from Mod Saw. Arrow saws can be expensive. They make arrow saws that cost $500 all the way to $100. This is an awesome arrow saw. I wasn't sure what to expect out of this. It's essentially a 3D printed arrow saw, and I am very impressed with what this product is. I mean, you can cut your own arrows at home. You just line it up here and set it in the grooves, and then you turn the saw on. It's really quiet, as you heard in the beginning of the video. So you can cut all your own arrows here. There's a vacuum port hookup on the back where you can hook up like a shop vac or something so you don't get it all dusty and dirty. And then it's got an arrow spinner as well. So if you're like, oh, I want a two for one, you don't got to buy an arrow spinner. It's got bearings on here where you can actually test and spin your arrows. And it also has a spot to square your arrows here. There's a piece of sandpaper here, and you would actually go in and say this tip wasn't here. You would just work back and forth and square your arrow. So it's a pretty cool tool all in one for really affordable. It's very competitive arrow saw. I think it's like the perfect at-home arrow saw. I don't know if I would run it necessarily in a commercial bow shop, but for the at-home archer where you're only cutting maybe 12 to 24 arrows a year, awesome product. So going next is a bow vise, right? There's a ton of different bow vices out there, and they're expensive. Anything with the word archery, expensive, right? So I actually saw a guy on YouTube have this in his archery shop, and this is essentially a bike vise, right? And it's rotatable left and right, up and down, and I just mounted it to my actual workbench here. And what I use this for mainly is just for checking my levels, really, because I can get this bow leveled up and down. I can go here with it. I can go upside down and tie a D loop. I can tie a peep, whatever it may be. And this was like $40 maybe. It's an awesome product, and it's all adjustable here. Like if you have a wider grip, you can take off tension and latch it down here. So it's not like the traditional bow vise, but I've found like it has done everything I've needed it to do for what I'm doing here at my house. Like if I'm testing different stabilizers or playing with weights and whatnot, and I don't want to bend down and have to do it on the ground, I can throw it in this vise. It's all right here on my hands. If I'm taking my go sticks off, if I'm checking my level on my sight, whatever it may be, doing rest adjustments, I can do it all here on a simple bike vise, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so I think it's made by Rock Bros, all one word. And like I said, for 30, 40 bucks, it's pretty tough to beat. Now, if I need something super technical, I may go into the bow shop and use their vices because they are pretty solid vices, but for what this allows me to do is pretty awesome. Next, obviously we talked about our vanes and whatnot. I just have a wide variety of stuff on here on this pegboard. I got some nocks, some arrow wraps, some extra wipes, some extra glue here, just some components, inserts and whatnot. I use this scraper here to scrape glue off of my actual jig because sometimes this fletching jig gets caught up with glue in here, and the worst thing is when it doesn't open when you're gluing your vane down and it gets stuck and you rip it off. So I just use just a mudding putty tape thing and chip it right off. That works pretty well. I bought this last year. This is the new Last Chance Archery scale. It's called the HS4. And basically it tells you how much weight you're pulling back, the peak, the holding weight, the let off, all that stuff. So I can consistently document when I'm setting up a new bow, what all the numbers are. And these vary. I've seen very different numbers on different scales. So my advice is like, if you're going to use one, like stick to that one, because that way the numbers are consistent across the board. But yeah, this kind of expensive, $100 or so, but I thought it would have been useful rather than running into town to use a scale. So, and then I just have a torch. This is just for gluing on, like either if I'm hot melting anything, like components of any sort. I think that's beneficial. And then moving over here, this is a Last Chance, just a cleaning tool like your arrow. It's actually meant to be on their arrow saw, but they sell it separately. So what I did is I bought it and I attached it onto my workbench. So that way, if I am cutting arrows, I finish here and go directly onto here and I score the arrow and kind of chip it up here. That way I don't have to use both hands. I just come over here real quick, give it a couple turns and twists, and then I clean it here. If I can get it in there. And then I'll even take a Q-tip and go inside there too. But I have just an assortment of different diameters and whatnot for different arrows in case I'm doing a buddy's or I'm doing my wife's or whatever. I have different options there, but that's a pretty nifty tool. Hands, you know, can be done with one hand. So I just have a bunch of freaking arrows over the years here. I made a couple arrow holders just out of PVC pipe. And then over here I mounted just a couple little holders to hang my Faro hip quiver and my bino harness when I'm shooting outside in the summertime. Yeah, so going over here, this is a workbench that I bought just to keep things organized. Once you kind of dive into the weeds of things, it's like you just accrue stuff over time. So another thing that I recommend, like these little ball Allens where you can't get in a full Allen wrench and you need to squeeze this in. I just bought a set of these on Amazon for fairly cheap. Different sorts of like the star pattern Allens, like Hoyt uses these. I found that out this year, maybe the hard way. And then I just have an assortment of Allens in here. I bought this. This is just a leveler that you put on your bowstring. I bought this from Podium Archer. This is a pretty cool tool. It's just magnetic, and you throw it onto your bow, and it's got the groove for your string there, and then you can get your bow leveled and everything. And this is the Hamskea Gen 2 leveler. This is for doing your axis on your sights, first, second, and third. And then I have this. I bought these. These are the OMP kind of string levelers. I bought these before I actually bought the Podium one. And I'm a fan of the Podium one. These, however, will work. They're just pretty simple tools here. I keep a notebook just to monitor any like changes that I make, or if I'm building Alex's bow out or Luke's bow out or Garrett's, that I can document everything. That way, if I'm building an arrow for Alex and he's like, you know, I want a little heavier arrow, I know what his previous arrow was. And then I just have an assortment of different crap in here that I've accrued, you know, small targets shooting, you know, 10 yards in the garage in the wintertime. And then I kind of just organize these. They're in my head. I don't have them actually labeled, but this drawer here is more for target archery, just different components for fat arrows, and then different components for micro diameter arrows, nocks and whatnot, lens, all sorts of different things. So like if I'm building target arrows or making any scope modifications, that's my drawer. And then the next one here is just kind of an assortment of releases and extra strings and cables and whatnot. I just kind of made that of like a generic drawer. Most of these are pretty generic. They cruise stuff. Like this has all my releases and different optics and whatnot. If I'm switching out, extra arrow lube, some different quivers that my wife has used over the years. This one here is purely broadheads. As you can see, I've accrued quite a bit of broadheads over the years. I'm pretty committed to a few different brands, but I like testing them and whatnot, but keep them all in there. And then this drawer here is just like my sticker drawer. Over the years of getting stickers, I just throw them all in here. And then any scope accessories, sight tapes, extra strings and cables. And then here is just pretty much like all accessories on the bow, like your grips, stabilizer weights, stabilizers, quiver, grip tape, anything like that. I just throw in here, release accessories. And then the bottom two are just purely trail cameras. So I kind of separate them out. Like these are all my Tacticam reveals that are purely cell cams in there. And then these are all just kind of like cheapo non-cellular cameras where if I'm going into a new area that might be a big tract of public where I'm seeing a lot of people and I'm nervous about a trail cam getting stolen, I might go this route over this route. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of does it for the DIY archery shop. This is super basic. Again, this is just stuff I've accrued over the years. Basically what I do here is I build my own arrows, whether it's, you know, fletching arrows, cutting arrows, gluing in components, spinning arrows, checking that, weighing all your arrows, anything with arrows I can do here. And then anything mounting wise and leveling on the bow I can do here as well. Just this gives me the capability of doing so. But as far as actual tuning goes, moving cams, anything with a bow press, I have to go into town, and that's fine. It's not often that I do that. When we set up the bow in town at the bow shop, usually I don't have to do very many adjustments from there. Maybe once or twice a year, string stretch, whatnot. But for the most part, I can do most things here with that don't require a press, which is awesome. So, and it's fairly budget friendly. I mean, you know, the mod saw, the actual bow holder, which is a bicycle vise, and a fletching jig. You can do a lot of things, and then getting a couple levelers. You can do a lot of stuff on your bow. So if you're like me and you live, you know, 30, 40 minutes from town or the nearest bow shop, you might want to consider, you know, throwing down, you know, you can get a lot of this stuff for under $500 in the long run. And this took me, you know, 3, 4, 5 years to accrue. So, you know, I didn't go ham at first, and then I kind of just accrued all this, and I haven't had to really buy a whole lot since then. So let me know if you guys have any stuff that you recommend, maybe that I can throw in this shop, and let me know what you think of this video. If you have any questions on products or anything you saw or anything that maybe I'm doing wrong that I could change, let me know. Leave a comment in the video, in the comments below. If you really like this video, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. We got a ton more videos coming on archery content. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.